Ever had someone try to get rid of you? Or a whole group of people? It's happened in history to many people who've been trying to bring a solution to a terrible problem, trying to save the world. It's amazing how many people can hate people trying to do that. In Esther 7 verse 9, it's a book in the Old Testament, there's a story of Esther and Hayman and Mordecai. These are three characters in a Shakespearean style drama. I mean, it is unbelievable what happens in the middle of this terrible, terrible circumstance where all the Jewish people throughout the entire world are going to be killed. The plan by this gentleman, Hayman, who hates the Jewish people because of one man called Mordecai who will not bow to him. Hayman is the prime minister for Ahasuerus, a Persian king. And he is like the guy that everybody bows to, except this one man, Mordecai. And he hates not just Mordecai, but the entire Jewish race because of it. And so he plots how he can exterminate all of these people throughout the land. But at that particular time, an interesting thing happens. The wife of Ahasuerus refuses to go into the banquet hall and be paraded as his trophy wife to all of these foreign kings. Ahasuerus wanted to show off. She refused, and so she lost her role as the queen. So a new queen was to be brought to the palace. And throughout all of his empire, all the most beautiful women were brought to audition, if you like, for the role as queen. It was a 12-month process. Esther, she gained the favor of the head eunuch who was looking after the harem, if you like, for Ahasuerus. She looked to him as to what she should wear, what she should smell like, and the head eunuch, he knew what the king liked. So he advised Esther on that incredible night that she was to go into the king and to be auditioning, if you like, for the role of queen. Well, she got chosen. Ahasuerus chose her as the queen, the new queen, and because of that, Esther was put in a place of power that no other woman in the entire kingdom had. Unbeknown to anybody, Esther was Jewish. And so when the plan that Hayman had to exterminate all the Jews came to Esther's ears, she called all of her people around the world to a fast. And she said, I will approach the king and I will attempt to secure our salvation, which is what she did. So she went in and she invited both the king and Hayman, her worst enemy, into that banquet. As they feasted, the queen asked if the king would do it again tomorrow, so he did. In the meantime, Hayman is so puffed up. His pride blinds him. He can't see that he is getting set up. He goes home and tells his family and all of his friends, I've been invited, just me and Esther and the king, to this private little banquet. Nobody else. How important must I be? And so the very next day, the king becomes aware of a favor that Mordecai has brought to the king by uncovering a plot some years previous, an assassination attempt. And so the king asks Hayman, what would you do for the man who the king wants to honor so proudly? Hayman thinks it's him, but it's not. The king has got in mind Haman's worst enemy, Mordecai. But Hayman thinks up the best thing he could possibly imagine because he thinks it's for him. And then as soon as he's finished telling the king says, do that for Mordecai. He is crestfallen. It is embarrassing beyond embarrassment. Anyway, the next day, the queen has invited Hayman and the king into this particularly exclusive luncheon. As they come in, the king has asked Esther what it's all about, and she has hidden the purpose of the meeting. Meanwhile, Hayman has been preparing gallows to hang Mordecai on as soon as his plan to kill all the Jewish people throughout the realm have come to pass. And so in the banquet, when they're meeting together, Esther begins to explain to the king that her people are under threat. And he says, why? What is happening? And she then says, this man, Hayman, he is trying to kill all my people throughout your kingdom. The king is confused. He is flabbergasted. He can't believe that this would be happening. He walks out of the room. Meanwhile, Hayman falls on his knees, begging the queen, spreading himself all over her knees, saying, please, please, please. And the king walks back in, says, what? What are you doing, dishonoring my queen like this? And they put a bag over his head. And instantly, Hayman is taken to the very gallows that he was going to hang his enemy on, Mordecai. And he was hung on his own gallows. The best of the devil's plans will backfire when God gets involved. Never forget the God factor, but God. He will arrange circumstances, coincidences, all sorts of amazing happenstances that will come to pass favoring you because of Christ in you. When you put your circumstances in the hand of God, He is able to work all things together for good to you who love God. He is a redeemer. He will make the worst of circumstances become the best of circumstances. Out of that situation, all the Jewish people throughout the realm of the Persian king were allowed to go and plunder the houses, plunder the palaces of everybody who was out to kill them in their particular region. So it turned completely around. What was going to be one of their worst days became one of their best days because of the God factor. Always remember to bring God into your circumstances. It is unbelievable what He can do. All things are possible to them who believe, and with God, nothing's impossible. Hit the subscribe button. Fresh content will come to your inbox every day.